Hello, this is Riding with Ree, and today I'm going to be showing you how to take apart your bridle and put it back together. This video is part of a series on horse care basics. A couple of weeks ago we put together some tricky tack, including how to put on a martingale. Last week I showed you how to clean your tack, and this week we'll be taking apart this bridle and putting it back together. This is great if you want to give your bridle a deep clean before a show. Let's get into the video. Right, so I've got my bridle here. I also just went and got a notepad and pen and a towel. I would recommend before you take apart any of your bridle, take a few pictures of it from a few different angles. This is going to help you out later on if you get a bit stuck with where things go back together. The reason I have a notepad today is to help us when we're putting the bridle back together, put it on the right holes. With older bridles, it's sometimes easy to see where the grooves of the buckles sit, but with slightly newer bridles, those grooves aren't always there. So you can always use a notepad to write down where the bridle is meant to sit. Let's use this towel to take our bridle apart, and then I'll show you how to put it back together. So I'm going to start at the back here with the reins. I'm going to undo these at the top of the buckle, and if you have a martingale or a neck strap, you can take those off now. So that's my martingale. Pop that over to one side. Next I'm going to undo the reins from the bit. Some bits have this hook. It's like a little hook into there, it's called a billet. What you need to do is push, almost pushing against it so that the leather comes up. If it's too stiff like this one, take your hoof pick and just gently wiggle it. This is going to give you a little bit of leverage to pull it out. Okay, pop that there. Have my other rein, pop those together. Next I'm going to take apart the cheek pieces, the other side of the bit. These should be pretty simple. You might have billets on these as well. Use the same technique as before. Take those out. Then I have my bit. Next I'm going to take apart the top of my cheek piece. That's your cheek piece. And the other side. And remember as you're going along, that if you're taking these apart and you're not sure which hole they go back on, use your notepad to write them down. So 2 cheek pieces. Next I'm going to take off my noseband, this piece. And then your noseband will be buckled on one side and free on the other. I'm going to remove my brow band, one half, and then I'm going to remove the other half by pulling it over the top, she says, of my headpiece. If it's too thick, like mine was, you're just going to undo your throat latch or any other buckles on the other side. So got my throat latch there. So this is actually threaded through here, so we're just going to pull this out, unthread the noseband, and this is your biggest piece, your noseband. Then your brow band comes off, looking like this, my noseband, and my headpiece. So that is my tack. Let's run through all the pieces now, and then we can put it back together. This is a martingale. We've spoken a lot about these in the last few videos, but you will see, she puts it the right way up, that they have this long piece with a little loop at the end and a top piece, and this is also a 5-point breastplate, so it has these pieces on the side. There's more detail in the martingale tricky tack video, but that is a martingale. So neck straps and martingales can sit together on one side. Then you have your reins. These are really long pieces of leather. They typically have a hook at one end like this with a billet fastening. Some of them have this sort of texture on them, and you'll see that they fit together. One of them has a buckle and the other just has a bit of leather, and they are your longest pieces of leather in your whole bridle. Okay, so you'll have 2 of them. They look almost exactly the same. One has a buckle at the end, the other doesn't. That's your reins. Your bit obviously is metal, you should know that, or perhaps plastic. There are plastic bits, but you should be able to tell this out of the rest of your pieces. We have our 2 cheek pieces. These are quite short. They both have buckles on tops and buckles at the bottom, and they sort of have this little tick at the end. 2 cheek pieces. Brow band, little curved piece of material. Some of them have decoration on the front, or either a ribbon or a diamond. Some of them don't, but they have these two tiny loops at the end and they're in a sort of C shape. Then we have the throat latch, which is pretty thin. It has buckles at both ends because it attaches to both ends of your bridle. We have the headpiece, the crown. It has two pieces on one side, two pieces on the other, and then this C shape at the top, and it's quite thick because this is what sits on top of your horse's head, so his ears are here, it sits on top. And then you have your noseband. This is a grackle, so it's a little more confusing looking than most, but this piece goes over the top, and that sort of more resembles a grackle than another noseband. But if this is a normal noseband, it's going to have one really long piece, one short piece, and then a sort of C-shaped ring at the front, and that's your noseband. That is your bridle. I'm actually going to give this a quick clean while it's taken apart. If you want to know how to clean your tack, there is a video on that. I will link it out above. Otherwise, I'll see you in a sec and we'll put this back together. All right, my tack is all clean. Let's put this back together. We're going to start with our brow band, our headpiece, and our noseband. This is actually quite a complicated bridle to put back together because it has these two sort of threads that go in with the headpiece and the noseband. Not every bridle has that. But what I'm going to do first is just thread on my brow band. So, just thinking about the best way to explain this. I'm going to thread this in like that and thread it in the other side so that you end up with the thickest part of your headpiece at the top and then your two brow bands sitting either side. That's going to be the top of your bridle. All right? That's that. Pop that on your knee, or if you have a little clip, you can put it on, do that. Then you're going to find your noseband. As I said, not all nosebands look like this. Where this cross here is where you would normally have a front piece of the noseband, and look for the longest piece of leather. So this really long one, that is the right side of your bridle. So what you're going to do is thread that up through the right side of your headpiece and your brow band. And you do want this on the inside of the headpiece. I want to get it inside the brow band as well. There we go. Thread it over the top if you have a little top piece there. And then if you have a gap in your leather, threading it down the inside. If you don't have these little thread pieces here, these little gaps in your headpiece, you just want to put the noseband on the inside. Sorry, not the noseband. Yeah, the noseband on the inside of your brow band and on the inside of your headpiece, so it sits on the inside, okay? So pull that down so that it's straight. Push the brow band up so that it's above your buckles on either side and it's straight, central. And then we have our headpiece. Then we're going to do up our headpiece on the other side. And if you're ever not sure which one it matches to, look at the thickness of the leather, and you want your headpiece, your noseband on the inside piece, okay? So the same piece that you just threaded through, it will be underneath the other two. So do that up. Make sure you have it on the right button. If you wrote down which number it should be on, do that, otherwise use the groove. So I can see the groove here. Pop that in, tuck in your keepers. So now we have our headpiece, our brow band, and our noseband all up together. I'm just going to tighten up this noseband so that's sitting straight. The next piece we're going to do is our cheek pieces. So you'll have two of these, remember, and you want the ticks facing outwards, the buckles facing out. So this is going on the left side of our bridle, and again we're lining up the thickness. So it's not this one, that's too thin. This is going to be for a throat latch, it's the thick one. So we'll do that up here. Check that you have it on the right groove. Pop those keepers in, that's one side. Same on the other side. The thickest one on the outside here. Line that up. Next we're going to do our throat latch. So that is the long, thin piece of leather with the two buckles on either side. Your throat latch, when you do it up from the left side of your bridle. So you're going to buckle it up onto the right side of your bridle so it's ready next time you go to tack up. So you have this final thinner piece of leather left on your bridle, and you're going to do up your throat latch to that. See where my groove is there. Tuck that into both keepers. You should have two on most pieces of leather actually. And we leave the other side hanging down because then when you put your bridle on, it's going to come round under his under his cheek. You're going to do it up there, and his throat, I should say, not really his cheek, his throat, and do up just there. Okay, next we're going to put our bit on. Make sure that you have your bit the right way round. I definitely put this on backwards before, but you should be able to see that's the wrong way round. Can you see that they're curving outwards? They should be curving inwards in a smile. Can you see that? Just there. Let me just show you the wrong way again. That is the right way. That's wrong. Can you see that? Similar with most bits, they curve in the shape of the horse's mouth. Okay, that's the top of my bit, top ring, bottom ring. Bits are difficult. I can't tell you too much about your own because every single one is different, but you should have a top piece which will attach to your cheekbones, and it's sort of the furthest point away from the bit that sits in his mouth is this top piece. So let that hang naturally, make sure it fits. It does, it's the right way round. So now I'm going to attach it to our bridle. So do left side to left side. I'm going to grab your buckle there, pop that through, pop it up. You might have a billet hook here, billet fastening, and I'll show you how to do that up in a minute. If you don't, just do it up normally. My reins have billet fastening, so I'll show you how to do that up. So that's one side. Just double check. Still looks right. Yep. And then we're going to put the reins on. So straighten your rein. This is a billet buckle, and I'll show you how to put that on. So for some bits, it goes on the big ring. If you have a small ring at the bottom of your bit, I'll just show you sideways. It's going to sit there, or it's going to sit there. Check the picture of your bridle from before and work out which one it sits on. So for me, it's sitting on the bottom ring. This is a great example of why you check the pictures of your tack. I actually had this on the wrong ring and ended up changing it after this video. So you want that billet hook facing to the inside, so that if you take the rein with the buckle on the top, if you imagine this is the top of your horse's withers, you want the buckle sitting flat on the outside. So follow that down, and you should find that your buckle sits like this, and this is going to go to the inside of the bridle, so like this. So pop it into your ring, pop it over the top, pull it back as far as you can, so pull your leather forward and pull this piece back, tuck it into your second keeper, and then once it's over, you're going to settle it over the opening and push the metal through. Once the metal is in, you're going to pull them up so that it sits deep in your leather. That's one side. I'll show you this side again. So again, goes into your bridle like this, and then push it up through there, pull it up as far as you can, push it in through the second keeper, pull it up again as far as you can, and then use that hole in the leather, try and press it in over the metal, and then settle it so that it's secure. That's our two reins. Let's connect those up at the top, so run them straight from your bit, pop those together at the top. Bridles back together. So if you're putting back on a martingale, I would recommend popping it up on a hook. Make sure your martingale is facing the right way. So you should have these two running bits at the front and everything else facing away. Pop your bridle on one arm, take your reins, undo those, and then run them upwards through each ring. Bring them back together at the top and do them up. And then you can collect top of your bridle, top of your reins, top of your martingale. And if you want it to be secure in the tack room, take the bottom of your martingale, the loop, pop all of that in one hand, the loop, top of the martingale, top of the reins, take your throat latch, thread those three pieces through your throat latch, and then secure it, and let that loop from the bottom of the martingale drop down. That's going to stop it from dragging on the floor when you're carrying the bridle. And that is it. I I hope that you have enjoyed today's video. If you did, do give it a thumbs up. Leave me any questions or comments below, and do subscribe. I'm doing videos like this quite a lot, as well as sharing my own experience of my first horse show. So do join us in our virtual little yard on YouTube. See you next time.